Hey everyone, this is Helena Hart, and I'm so excited to be talking with Teal Elizabeth today. Teal is a love and relationship coach who helps ambitious women attract and embody the love that they want in their lives. And today we're going to be talking about how to stop accidentally chasing a man and instead pull him in and bring him closer than ever and really inspire that love and devotion that you want in your life. So welcome, Teal, and thank you so much for being here today.
Hey, Helena. Oh, it's great to be here. Hi, everyone.
I'm so excited to jump into this topic. I know your specialty is working with really strong, ambitious women, and that's the type of women that I love to work with as well because from what I found, they tend to have a lot of success in other areas of their life, but might still be struggling in their love life to attract the kind of man that they want, who really like lives up to their vision of what they want in a relationship. Have you found that as well?
Absolutely, completely. And I used to be one of them. I guess I still am one of them as well. And it's really natural, right? Like we have these goals and we like set our minds to things and we just achieve what we want and we have the success and we're used to having success. And so when we can't find that success in love, it's really, really aggravating. So after I went through a bunch of my own struggles with this and was able to transform my love life, I knew that there was definitely a need to help other women do the same.
I love that. And I was right there with you. I totally know what it feels like to just like feel like you've tried everything and you're doing everything and you just can't seem to get that love that you want or attract that kind of man that you want. So, the topic today is how to stop accidentally chasing a man. What are some ways that women accidentally, I found that a lot of women think that they're in their feminine energy, they think they're leaning back, but on these very subtle or sometimes like subconscious levels, they're actually pushing men away. Have you seen that? And how are some ways that we're accidentally chasing a man or keeping them at a distance?
Yeah, this is a really, really fun topic to talk about because I think our minds and our thoughts are so incredibly powerful. And even though, like you said, we may be pretending or thinking that we're doing all the right actions, if our minds and our thoughts aren't in connection with our heart, it's going to like have this energy force underneath it that's still pushing them away. And I think the biggest source of that is coming from the fact that we are really taking a stance in the modern day for our equal rights and women's empowerment, right? Like, I am loving seeing women really step up and say, hey, we're not going to be pushed around anymore. We're not going to be having less pay for men than men for the same work. We're not going to be taking sexual assault anymore. Like, these are really, really big things. But I think also with this is coming this attitude of like, hey, you know what? We're just as good of you as, if not better than you. Or, we're not going to put up with you anymore, or we don't need you anymore. And that kind of energy, although it may be making strides in the workforce in terms of equality, it's really actually having a backlash in terms of relationships, whether we realize it or not. And so I think this idea of accidentally chasing him or accidentally pushing him away is coming from this underlying thought of, you know what, like, I don't need a man anymore in terms of equality. But when it comes down to it, we really do. We really do. We want someone. We want a companion.
Wow, you just said so many powerful things. I can't wait. First of all, yeah, what is that distinction? Like, we want to be independent. We want to, of course, have boundaries and be respected and all of those great things. How do you do that without having this energy where you have all these walls around yourself where a man can't actually get close to you? I mean, a high quality man who wants to, respect your boundaries and treat you well. Like, what's the distinction there?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think it really comes once again in the energy that you're putting out when you're in a man's presence. So there's a difference between, I think of it in a masculine confidence and a feminine confidence. So with a masculine confidence, it's very like projecting. You're projecting your confidence. Like, I am so amazing. I'm this badass woman. I can take care of myself, and you better fit X, Y, and Z, right? That's kind of like, I'm showing you how amazing I am. But then there's the inner feminine confidence where you still have those same boundaries. You still have that same X, Y, and Z, but you're holding it as a grounded center of just your values and your worth, and you're still able to show up in a man with a man from a place of softness, where you're not projecting those values onto him of like, you need to be this. You're just holding that as who you are.
I love that. I've talked about this before as having your boundaries like really strong and secure on the inside, which is actually what allows you to be open and feminine and softer on the outside, so a man can actually get close. And that sounds a little bit like what you're talking about. I think that's like the most powerful place to come from. Like if we don't trust ourselves, if we don't have those strong boundaries on the inside, I found that that's kind of what causes us to want to put these walls up around us on the outside and push men away on these deeper kind of subconscious levels. Have you found that to be true as well?
Yes, absolutely. And I think it really stems from just not feeling safe to think that those values are okay, right? And so I think if that's something that you as a viewer are thinking or feeling, that you're not sure how to actually internalize those values versus putting them out there for the world. It's like thinking about, why do you feel unsafe to be able to really stand that and own that?
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So what does accidentally chasing a man look like? I mean, we all know what it looks like in these overt ways, like, always being the one to ask him out and like call him up always. And like, being the one to move the relationship forward. I talk a lot about that, as I know you do as well. What are some of the more subtle ways we can actually be chasing a man or pushing him away, like you said, on this like energetic level?
Yeah, I think it really comes down to just like I said, just really being taking a step back and monitoring your thoughts and your beliefs of like, how are you actually perceiving men in general? Like, are you looking at them as someone that can actually serve you and support you, or are you looking at them as someone that you have to prove or you have to compete with, right? I think that's something that can really make a huge difference, just in terms of just that shift of how you're actually perceiving them. I think too, in terms of pushing them away, if you're giving them your power, so if you're feeling like you're putting all of your focus and your intention on them versus putting that focus and attention on yourself. So I think that's a big one.
Oh my gosh, that was so brilliant. I think everyone should just rewind that and just watch over and over. I love that. Now, what would you say to a woman who hasn't had the experience of men wanting to support her and respect her boundaries and treat her well? And like, I know a lot of women I hear from have never experienced that. So they start to believe that that kind of guy isn't out there and he doesn't exist. And that's what makes you feel like you have to safeguard yourself against all these bad things that might happen in your love life.
Yeah, that is a really, really powerful question. And I feel for those women, absolutely, that have never been able to experience what that feels like. And for me, honestly, I hadn't even ever experienced the kind of love that I now have until I had first, one, believed that I could have it, and two, I actually had to create a very, very powerful vision of how I wanted to feel in this man's presence. So even I had never experienced this kind of love that I have, I just kept thinking and visualizing and feeling, how am I going to feel when I meet this man? How is he going to make me feel? How am I going to be able to act in his presence? Who is the woman that I get to become in his presence? So I don't think it matters so much about actually having that as a role model in your life. It's just more about believing that you can have it and then holding onto that vision and feeling your way into that vision.
I love that. Oh my gosh, so many powerful things that you're saying. So let's say a woman has been accidentally chasing a man. Let's say she has been, I love what you said, trying to prove herself to him, even in very subtle ways, right? Rather than like seeing him as someone who wants to come towards her and be there for her and support her and everything that she wants to do in life. How does a woman start turning that around?
From going and accidentally pushing away to attracting.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, well, I think this is a very common theme, I know, that you've talked a lot about, but putting the focus back on yourself is number one, right? I think a lot of this energy that we put into wanting to attract a man is very outward and it's very leaning forward. So leaning back and really putting that energy and that focus on yourself. And then I really do believe that to be able to attract the kind of love that you want, it always stems from becoming the kind of woman that man is going to fall in love with. So if you're not there in your love life, asking yourself the question of who do I get to become to have this man come into my life? And it's amazing how just moving yourself in the direction of who you want to become can actually magnetize them closer to you. So as an example for me, I knew that to be able to be to attract the kind of man who I wanted to be so loving and nurturing and compassionate and supportive, I was going to have to be able to feel really comfortable being vulnerable and open-hearted and really nurturing. And I was not used to doing that. And I didn't have much experience with like seeing that. And so I had to actively start moving myself in the direction of practicing that skill of being more vulnerable. Started with just like close friends and then moved to, guys I was dating and practicing on them. And then next thing I know, I was actually starting to become a more vulnerable woman. And that helped.
Yeah. I love that you mentioned vulnerability. That is, I've found like the key to a man's heart, the key to him seeing you as that one woman that he never wants to live without. And that can be difficult, right? And, staying with this topic, when we're accidentally chasing a man, I found that sometimes that forward leaning energy comes out of us when we're trying to like cover up feelings and not be vulnerable. Have you found that to be true as well? Yeah. Okay. Yes. And so how do you start to shift that? Because I know it can be difficult, right?
To shift of like this whole fake facade that you're putting up as a way to like kind of attract him.
Exactly.
It's such a funny thing, right? It's like, we don't want to say we're playing games, but we put up this kind of face of who we think they're going to want in order to attract them in. But then when they get attracted in, then they feel this block because they can't really see the real you, and they can sense that you're not really being the real you. And so it's all just an energetic mush.
Exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think the biggest way to really let go of the accidentally chasing and pushing forward is just like making sure that when you're to lean into your authenticity. And I didn't even realize that I wasn't being authentic until I realized that I was hiding my feelings. So letting go of the fakeness. And the fakeness can look anything from just like laughing at his jokes when you don't think they're funny, or letting it be okay that he doesn't call you for a week when it's really not okay. All of these kinds of things that feel like what you're supposed to do, you're putting up a facade of who you're really not and not being true to your feelings. So putting your feelings is number one.
I love that you mentioned that because, unfortunately there's like this misconception that feminine energy and leaning back just means like being a doormat and going along with whatever a guy wants and waiting for him endlessly. And good, you're shaking your head. So you agree with me here that I think being in your feminine energy is the most powerful place you can come from, especially when it comes to attracting that man and that relationship you want. I'd love to hear just anything you have to say about that, because I bet you have some good insights on that one.
Totally. I was like, ooh, yes. I think that we are in the best time for dating and relationships, honestly, that we ever could be in. Because going back to what I was originally talking about with the women's empowerment movement, we are now getting so much more equality in the workplace. We're getting so much more power in our presence. And to me, femininity is about stepping into our power as a feminine leader and as a feminine woman. And I see femininity as the complete opposite of being weak. It's the stepping into that brilliance and like that balancing out of the masculine world, the corporate world, the politic world. All of this is just, it's been driving so masculine for so long, and the femininity is just going to completely balance out that energy with the stronger power.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Thank you for saying that. And I've been just like, even just as you spoke that, I'm like feeling like emotional, even like in a good way. When I'm truly in my feminine energy, like the word that comes to me is powerful. Like I feel powerful. And I see it like in the comment sections of some of these like relationship advice videos. A lot of women just think, so you're supposed to just like let a man come and go and do whatever he wants. So what are some ways that you can stay in your power, stay in your feminine energy, stick to your boundaries without pushing the man away or without accidentally chasing him? I'd love to hear any tools or tips you have around that.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. For me, what I've noticed really that helps most for my clients as well as for myself is always just approaching every single day with your cup overflowing, with your heart overflowing with love, abundance for yourself and for everybody else. Because if you approach the day depleted, right? You've been running around from the last day, it follows you into the next morning, you jump out of bed, you get started, you're serving everyone else. As women, we serve everybody else, but we forget to serve ourselves. We approach the world depleted, and then we are allowing other people to take from us. And then we are showing up from a place of being a doormat, right? But if we make our own personal love abundance flowing out first from the morning, then every encounter that we have, we're just giving from a place of a wellspring, right? That's not getting depleted because it's overflowing. I'm hoping this is making sense.
Totally. And I'm kind of laughing over here because right before we sat down for this interview, I was really frazzled. I've been up since really early, running around, doing a million things, like barely squeezing time in for this. And Teal was so amazing. And she's like, let's just take a breath before we start, because I was in this energy where I'm like, okay, and I can get into that easily. And I know so many women can, especially if you're really busy, or if you have a lot of things going on, you have a long to-do list, and we can kind of like go through the motions or be on autopilot, and we're cutting ourselves off from this feminine energy. And that can keep a man at a distance too, right? That can keep him at arm's length, where he just doesn't feel this strong desire to come close. So what would you say for someone, because I know we can all experience it, that obviously myself included, right? What are some tips you have around connecting to your heart so you can stop pushing him away and actually bring him closer?
Yeah, well, number one always comes back to self-awareness, right? So being aware first when you're getting frazzled or when you're running around and you're feeling depleted. And then two is taking a step to literally just pause, whether it's just a second to breathe and catch your breath, or taking a few minutes to like actually sit and just relax your mind. It's amazing what just a few minutes can do to completely shift your mindset and replenish yourself. I love tapping back into the things that I love about myself as a way to remind myself of how incredible I am. And it may seem, and your mind may tell you, oh God, you're being so egocentric, just like talking about how great you are and how much you love yourself. But like, it's something that I don't think women train themselves to do enough. And so telling yourself and reminding yourself what qualities you love about yourself can instantly like, oh yeah, okay, I've got this. I'm good. Right. And then if you have more time, like just doing something that brings you just absolute joy, like actually finding something that makes you happy. So for me, I love just like turning on music and just dancing, just choreographing just random dances, or just getting out in nature and connecting with nature. It really replenishes my soul. But when you step into approaching every day from a place of feeling full already, then that's when that feminine energy is so powerful and strong, because you're just this like radiating, shining beam of light where women and men and everyone is just like, who is this woman? Like, wow. And then things just come to you.
It's so true. It's so true. Even in like work situation, I mean, every opportunity, it's like when you are embodying that feminine energy, that feminine power, it's like the things come to you, the people and opportunities, the man you want, rather than you feeling like you have to like lean forward and prove yourself, prove your worthiness or anything like that. It's like completely the opposite of how a lot of us have been like conditioned to go about doing things, right? I love that. I love that. One thing that just came to me as you were talking was, what does it look like when you are accidentally chasing a man? Like, what effect does that have on him or on all men if you're single and dating, versus what it looks like when you are doing everything you're talking about, embodying your feminine energy and attracting them, rather than it's like the attracting versus that acquisition, leaning forward, trying to get the love or get the man you want. What does it look like? Both sides of that. I'd love to hear what you have.
Yeah. Well, the best example I can use is my own personal example. When I was first new to this and had never heard of feminine energy before, I don't know how I live my life without it, but I was dating a guy, and I would just he would keep me at arm's length. We would date casually, but we would go a week without seeing each other. We'd go a week without talking. When we'd hang out, it would be great. Then he'd just like basically, call me whenever he wanted to hang out. Um, and I would kind of share about what I wanted, and he would just kind of shrug it off like, yeah, whatever. All right. Whenever I'm ready, we'll see. It felt very one-sided. It felt very me being out of control of my life. It felt very just like, it caused a lot of anxiety inside, right? Because you just don't feel like you know what's going to happen. And so it's so natural to want to grab on and take things into the reins.
Wow. I just have to jump in really quick, and because I can relate so much to that in my past. And I don't know a woman on this planet who hasn't felt that, like not being in control. It's his world. You're just kind of like taking whatever you can get. Sometimes it's just like they're just handing out crumbs and you're just kind of taking it. If you look in the comment sections of pretty much all of my videos, I can't tell you how many women are in that position. So yes, I totally relate to that. And then what's the other side of that when you think of do this correctly? What does that look like?
Yeah. So when you shift into really owning your power, owning your values, owning your feminine energy, and communicating from that place of strength, it's, how do I even describe it? Well, one, it feels empowering, right? Because you're not looking to have anybody else take care of you, because you're already taking care of yourself. You're not putting the focus on one specific man. You're just knowing that that ideal vision of perfect man will come into your life, or you're working towards finding whoever that guy is. So releasing attachment, I think, is the big word. And men just eat it up. They eat it up. Like literally, I started tapping into this energy, and 2 weeks later, my man that I'm with now, that I've been with for 5 years, just completely shifted. And it's just been such an incredible feeling. He even said to me later, he was like, yeah, I've always been attracted to you, but it wasn't until something, I don't know, something shifted, and I could just sense that like now is the right time. And he could literally just feel something different shift.
Wow. Yes, they can feel it. And it's nothing that you have to explain to them, right? Or convince them. I hear from a lot of women who are like, well, how do I show him that I'm different now? And even that mentality is like, I call it going into convincing mode, which is actually masculine competitive behavior, right? And I love hearing it, because I know Teal is just like living the life everyone dreams of. She's traveling the world this year with her man, working with women all around the world, like just such a wonderful like life that you're living, that I know is just like you're just living out your dreams. So amazing. I thank you so much. This was so powerful. I'd love to have you on again, because I know we could definitely go deeper into some of these like really important concepts. I know you have a free gift to share with everyone watching this interview. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. First of all, thank you, Helena. It's been so fun getting to talk to you too. I just, when you just connect with some people and you just jive, it's so fun. So yes, for anyone watching, ladies, I am here for you. Would love to support you. I have 2 different amazing little gifts to give you. The first is you can get your free copy of my guide. It's the 8 Principles to Become Magnetic to Men. Super fun guide, packed with nuggets. People love it. So you can get that down. Helena will share the link of that. And also, I'm opening up my schedule for anyone that feels like they want to connect with me one-on-one. I'm offering a free 30-minute one-on-one love breakthrough session over the phone. So definitely feel free to take advantage of that. And we can really actually jive and talk one-on-one. It's one of my favorite things to do.
That is so generous of you. Oh my gosh, I know a lot of people are gonna definitely want to like connect with you and get some of their questions answered and everything. So I'll post links to all of that right below this video in the description. And if you enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a like and a comment. We love hearing from you. Any questions you have or any experiences with some of these concepts, and any other videos you'd like us to make, because I know everyone's going to want to see more of you, Teal. So thank you so much. And I hope we can do this again soon.